Alright guys, what is up? We are back today for another Dokkan battle video, this one more discussion based. So if you didn't know, the Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku card you see on your screen now is going to be dropping in a few days, and obviously he is incredibly hype. If you pulled him in the banner before, that's great news that his banner is coming back, because then you got another chance to pull him, and if you don't, then you already pulled him, and then it's not as devastating as most banners. But regardless, we're going to be going over the different cards of the next transformation meta coming up for Global. Differences, their mechanics, etc, etc. So if you didn't know, Ultra Instinct Goku and a lot of the new meta are relying heavily on this transform, which once your HP gets to 50% or below, and that causes some interesting things. That means you want to lose health and not heal as much, which is kind of weird, given that most characters on these teams are going to be tanking hits and not actually taking enough damage to get to 50%. Most events you'll actually end up finishing before you reach that 50% anyway, so it's a little bit interesting. When he does transform, the biggest difference is the stats kind of stay the same. More often than not, the character's passives change, and that's probably the biggest difference you're going to see. So if you see when Goku transforms to his actual Mastered Ultra Instinct, he goes from attack and defense plus 100% to 150%, and he's key sufficient, and a great chance to invade enemies' attack. As well as disabling enemy guards. So he basically becomes a Gogeta card with Ultra Instinct Goku's dodge. And yeah, everything about him is amazing when he transforms. But you didn't need me to tell you that. He just becomes a well-rounded card. And then you basically get this interesting meta of you want to lose health. So cards like SS Blue, Kaioken Goku, where their super actually takes away 5% of your health, become meta because they help you reach this transformation. So it's just interesting to think about which cards gain relevance in this new meta. Not much else changes other than that. Let's go ahead and check on the other ones. So obviously we got the LR Gogeta, and him and the LR Vegito are kind of in the testing phase for Global's servers, which means they are obviously coming soon, obviously 3-year, more likely than not. These cards are a little bit different in that they also change links when they manage to transform. But this one, for both cards, you're going to have to wait 6 turns and then have 50% or below. So events that are going to be more likely to trigger this are probably going to be Boss Rush, a single Dokkan event, etc, etc. Just the longer stuff that goes on, because the shorter events you'll be done with them before you're able to even be allowed to transform. So interesting information here is that before they transform, they actually don't have things like Fused Fighter, because obviously they haven't fused yet. The links changed to add that in. I want to say Fused Fighter is the biggest one that gets added in. The rest are already there. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there, but pretty sure that's right. Also, when he transforms into this Gogeta, if you have another Gogeta on the team, like the Intelligence Gogeta, which you can run, he'll actually link with the Intelligence Gogeta, as opposed to in the past when 2 similar cards, say LR Vegito Blue and the physical Vegito Blue, if you manage to run them as leaders, would not link with each other. So that's just an interesting note. Basically, not much changes as far as these details go. He basically just becomes a new card on his own. He doesn't become 3 cards like a Great Ape. He just gets a bigger attack and defense boost. The key +3 whenever key is raised with Rainbow Key Spheres is changed from key +2. So basically you're getting off that 24 key super a lot easier. I imagine this one's pretty much the same way. You go from key +2 here to key +3. Yeah. So they're similar in a lot of ways. They both get Fused Fighter upon transforming, so it's nothing different there. I don't imagine... Oh, Super Vegito gets a lot more differences. Okay. So Gogeta kind of stays relatively the same, but Super Vegito gets a little bit more. Tremendous power multiplier is 300%. So his counter basically becomes phenomenal, more or less. And sorry. Super Vegito attack gives attack plus 30% to following counterattacks, so he's going to benefit a lot more from taking more attacks and dishing out more counters. Obviously, we know counterattacks can be crits, that's just common knowledge. Yeah, so basically Vegito just gets counters upon transforming, which is super useful, because he doesn't counter beforehand. So the counters makes him basically phenomenal. Not much else to note there. Everything else stays the same, more or less. Obviously, I mentioned the key link of Fused Fighter being added. This Vegito is the same as well, where he can also be linked with other Vegitos. So you can link him with the OG Agility Super Vegito, which is really nice because you get a good counter setup going. The next one we're going to talk about, and the last one of the video, is going to be Turles. His is a little bit different because he actually only has a chance to eat the fruit of the tree of might and transform. He's not a guaranteed transformation if you meet a certain condition, which is kind of weird. But he basically goes from being the best support unit in the game, surprisingly, or at least one of them, to a hard-hitting unit. So he's got a lot of variation in him. He goes from Ki plus 3 and attack plus 40% for allies, and then obviously superclass enemies, attack plus 15% down, to recovering 15% at the start of the turn, attack defense plus 130, which is probably one of the best buffs in the game, to basically taking no damage from super type enemies as well. So he has a lot of variation, I feel like, in his two transformations. His transformation does only last 3 turns when it does trigger. It's a 25% chance when HP is 80% or below, as you can see down here. The fact it only lasts 3 turns is very interesting. It means you're going to be using him more as a support than first transformation mechanic. He also gets a higher chance to stun during this time. It was medium before he transforms. So I feel like Turles probably has the most variation in how you can use him, if that makes sense. The other ones are obviously just like hit hard. But Turles, you get a few more options, I feel like. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of these 4 units. What teams you're going to be running. I'm going to be joining you down in the comments down below. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to watch this. I've been your host, Luke, man. I will catch you guys in the next one. Obviously, I haven't been streaming as much this week. I really haven't had the opportunity to, but starting tomorrow, I'm going to try to get back into it. I should have a stream for you guys. It might end up being fighters. We'll see. But until then, guys, thank you so much, and I will join you guys in the next one. Have a good day, guys. Why even try?